Hey folks, and welcome to Truck King. In this video, we're taking a closer look at this, the Ford Bronco Everglades. Now the Bronco is available in a number of different flavors, from that crazy high horsepower Raptor down to more basic models. So I think the question we're looking to answer today, is the Everglades the one to get if you want to go off-road? Well, let's take a closer look. Let's take a closer look at the details. So powering this Bronco Everglades is the 2.3 liter turbocharged i4. It's making 275 horsepower and 315 pound-feet of torque, though that is on regular fuel. Now regular fuel is recommended, but Ford also lists the numbers with premium fuel. And yes, the horsepower goes up to 300 and the torque goes up to 325. So a pretty significant difference between the types of fuel. Now I also have to mention, with the Everglades, you can only get the 2.3 liter EcoBoost. You can't get the bigger 2.7 V6. The reason for that is because of the water fording capability. Everglades is really about going in deep water, going in deep mud. So to maximize the water fording, they had to go with the 2.3 because the alternator is in a taller position. The alternator on the 2.7 is really low, and that would have limited it. So that's just one of the reasons, but the main one why this thing is 2.3 liter only. Now, outside of that, the other upgrades for the Everglades, well, they're pretty obvious right up front, right? We're getting this steel modular bumper and a massive worn winch. Now, you might be thinking that thing is quite exposed, and it is, but for good reason. Once again, imagine this thing is up to the bumper in water. You don't want to be reaching down underneath there to get in to free spool your winch or even just to deal with it at all. So Ford brought it up tall to make sure that it's accessible even when you're out there, in the Everglades, in the deep water. The only issue with this, you do lose your front camera. They didn't come up with a solution to mount the front camera further forward. And then obviously you just have this extra thing hanging out in front of the bumper. You always have to remember it's there when you go off-road. Now, outside of this stuff up front, when you go Everglades, you're getting the standard Sasquatch package. So that means a set of 35-inch mud terrain tires. Nice to have those. You're also going to see this, a snorkel. And yes, Ford actually calls it a snorkel, unlike some other brands. So that's standard on Everglades. I like to see that you can also change the position, so it can take air from the front or from the back, and then you can switch it up. In the winter time, especially for us here in Canada, you're going to want to plug up the front so that doesn't fill up with snow. So nice to see the options there. And then you're getting the unique Everglades stickers all over this thing. And then maybe one of the more important features on the inside is this is a hose out interior. So you're getting the seats, which have that marine grade vinyl on them. And then there's even drain plugs down in the floor to make sure that water is going to dissipate. Now finally, let me hit you with towing and payload. Towing on this model is listed at 3,500 pounds, and the payload is not great because there's so much added on here already. The snorkel, the steel bumper, the winch, a roof rack up there, all of it comes together to bring that payload number down to just over 800 pounds. Let me hit you with the off-road numbers now, and in some areas, the Everglades is actually the best. So overall ground clearance is listed at 11.7 inches, and that's 0.2 inches better than a standard Bronco with the Sasquatch package. Looking at the approach angle, that's actually down to 37.8 degrees, down from 43, and that's because of that big winch out there in the front. Now, the breakover angle on this model comes in at 26.3 degrees. That's the same as other Sasquatch Broncos, while the departure angle is just slightly better than other Sasquatch Broncos at 37.1 degrees. Finally, overall water fording on the Everglades is listed at 36.4 inches, and that is roughly 3 inches more water than any other Bronco in the lineup. Let's take a quick peek at the second row right now. So first of all, I like to talk about the baby seat situation. So we do have lower latch on the driver's side and the passenger side, and then top tethers right across the back of this bench. I'll climb in. So I don't know if you noticed, but it's worth noting that when you get in, this bar does hang kind of low. So for me, I stand at 6'2". I kind of had to duck. Once I'm in here though, plenty of headroom, no problem there. This is listed as 36.3 inches of legroom, and it's actually enough for me. This is my seating position, so I adjusted this to where I was comfortable. And yeah, this is absolutely decent. So the back seat of the Bronco, definitely good enough for a full-size adult. And one point that always has to be mentioned, Bronco does have rear side curtain airbags. They brought this out when the Bronco launched or relaunched, and then the Wrangler finally caught up and it got them too. So yes, nice to have the airbags back here. And then for amenities, I have some power down here, a couple USB ports, and a 3-prong 110 volt plug. So yeah, nice to have the power, and this is a fully legitimate sized back seat. Oh, except for that it's child locked and I can't get out. No! All right, folks, let's go for a drive. So first thing, I want to feel the power. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into sport mode. Yes, we have sport mode here. We also have slippery mode, mud and ruts, sand, and rock crawl mode. So all the GOAT modes, as Ford calls them. But I'm going into sport. And we have it in 4 auto right now, and I am on a gravel road, so we'll see. The 4-wheel drive might kick in. Let's floor it and feel it. It's decent. You know what? It definitely feels well matched to the vehicle. I feel like the lag here is even more pronounced than what I'm used to on EcoBoost. It definitely took a good 2 to 3 seconds to feel the meat of that power band come on. But when it hits, it feels absolutely fine. I wouldn't complain about it. I understand people's want or need to go up to the larger V6, but yeah, this base engine is fine. We truly are living in an age when the base engine in most vehicles is totally respectable. Unlike, even a decade, 2 decades ago when the base engine could be a dog. Now, I'm on a gravel road right now. I'm about to be on the pavement, but just listen for a second. I don't know how much it comes through to the mic, and I'm just about to hit the pavement here, so it's going to stop. But there are a lot of kind of rattles and little squeaks in this Bronco. Now, any vehicle where the roof comes off, I can forgive it to a certain point because it's just going to be louder. There's going to be more road noise. There's more seams, and there's all the panels, the way they come together, and then they're contacting up here on the frame, and they're contacting each other. So there's so many points where those squeaks and rattles can really happen. But still, to my ears, it's a bit much. Coming down that gravel road, yeah, it's a little annoying listening to everything. Now that we're back here on the asphalt, it's totally fine. So granted, this is also sort of a rough road thing. But yeah, if you are doing a lot of miles off-road, for instance, you might get a little tired of hearing all the squeaks and rattles. You'd probably be best served to remove the roof, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it and just have the sounds of nature coming into your Bronco. Outside of that noise, just talking about the drive here, it's quite good, and it's always been one of, I think, the most compelling features of a Bronco. When you're comparing it straight up to a Wrangler, the Bronco just drives a bit better. On road, it has a tendency to drive nice and straight, so you're not constantly working the wheel like you are in a Wrangler. Yeah, it's an easy-to-drive vehicle, which is saying something when it's also this off-road capable, when you have tires this big, to then also sort of make it sort of simple to drive is a big deal, and Ford nailed that. Now, off-road, I would say this and the Wrangler are still right there with each other. They're both super competent off-roaders, but on-road, I will take the Bronco just for kind of the ease of use. Now let's talk more about Everglades. So this is an interesting kind of position in the lineup. This is specifically meant for traversing water or being in really wet off-road situations, and Everglades sort of joins the Badlands and then of course the Bronco Raptor as one of the top off-road trims of the Bronco. Now this thing and the Bronco Raptor are quite different in terms of the gear that they pack, but more than that, just philosophically, Bronco Raptor is about hitting things at really high speeds. Everglades is not about that, so it doesn't have all the same suspension componentry to come along with it. But outside of that, I would say Everglades is a step up from the standard Badlands or just Sasquatch equipped Bronco because you're getting all the equipment here right from the factory. Things like the winch, things like the snorkel. These are things that people love to add on from the aftermarket. And Ford said, you know what, let's just go ahead and do that straight from the factory so it comes with the warranty. You're not worrying about who's installing it and how it was installed. So yeah, in the Bronco lineup, I would say this is probably your best off-road choice outside of the Raptor, but then the Raptor is also a huge cost premium as well because it has its own unique engine, so you're getting way more power, the bigger tires, etc., etc. And if that's really what you want, the Raptor does stand alone, but outside of the Raptor and in general, I do think this is probably the most compelling off-road package just because of all the equipment you're getting straight from the dealership. And yeah, you have to live with the smallest engine option, but I'm telling you right now, it's not bad. It's really not noticeable as being underpowered. The other point I like to make about Everglades is I'm just glad to see Ford recognizing a different type of off-roading. Everything for the last, feels like decade, has been so focused on sort of the Southwest, on California and Arizona, wide open desert spaces. I love the Raptor models, don't get me wrong, but they really are built with one type of off-roading in mind, and there haven't been a lot of companies that have come along and said, you know what, let's recognize people on the East Coast and in the North who they don't have wide open spaces. What we have is water and mud. So I'm just happy to see Ford sort of expanding its off-road thinking away from just, oh, we have to build an amazing desert runner to, you know, this thing, which is we have to build something that's going to go through the swamp, is going to get it, and is going to get out the other side. Now, I mentioned the price of the Bronco Raptor, and yes, that thing's expensive. The Everglades, yeah, I'm still not going to call it a bargain. To start here in Canada, you're looking at around $77,000, and then you add on some options, and one of these Bronco Everglades can easily climb to north of 80 grand. And you know what? I think the market is responding. So in 2024, year to date, the Bronco is actually down by 15% in the sales department. Now the Wrangler is down too, but the Wrangler's actually down only about 11 to 12%. So they're both struggling a little bit, and I feel like it's because these models specifically, these really adventure focused models, the MSRPs have just been climbing, you know, since the pandemic, but even before that, because this is sort of the trend. This is the trendy thing, to buy an off-roader, to buy something adventure focused, and these prices have just been ballooning like crazy. And it feels like this year in 2024, we're finally seeing the market say enough is enough. We're not paying those crazy prices. So we will have to see if there's a correction in pricing. I know Jeep in the United States already slashed prices, and I know they're offering big incentives, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ford is already doing the same thing or will be doing the same thing in the not too distant future to try and help with Bronco sales, because they are struggling in 2024. Now, the other important point with this engine, of course, is the fuel economy. Should be a bit better than other Broncos. We're getting right around 13 liters per 100 kilometers, which still feels a little bit thirsty for this type of vehicle. But of course, we also have monstrous 35-inch mud terrain tires, and there's just no way of getting around that. You put big MTs on just about anything, and you're going to lose easily 2 liters per 100, 2 miles per gallon, sometimes even more than that. So yes, I think we can just chalk that up to the tires. But yeah, here we are getting 13.1. And then just finally, I never mentioned some of the off-road features we have, like a front and a rear locker, and this thing also gets trail turn assist. And the one thing that I love about the Bronco's off-road equipment, it's very fast to engage, easy to understand, and those lockers, yeah, you turn them on, they come right on, you shut them off, they pop right off. I've never had a Bronco where you have to sit there and rock it or do any of those things. The only one feature you're missing in an Everglades is the disconnectable front sway bar. This sway bar is fixed all the time, but outside of that, yeah, you're getting all those excellent off-road features here as well. Now, we're not doing any real hard off-roading in this video, but I do have some local sandy trails that are right around me, and it's a perfect place to show off trail turn assist. So essentially what happens here is the vehicle will lock up the rear inside tire during a hard turn off-road, and that's going to allow you to rotate around it. Now, you want to bring a bit of speed into one of these corners. That's when trail turn assist works the best, and I'm here on this really loose sand, so it should work really well. Let's give it a try. I've got it turned on the dash. I'm in 4 high. Let's do it. So a bit of speed. I'm doing a full 180 here. And then you huck it into a corner. Rotate, rotate. Yes, nice. Again, bringing a bit of speed into that corner definitely helps you and just helps the vehicle swing around. But for making tight corners out in the bush, it's a really useful feature, and it's something that comes from the world of off-roading. This would be called a front dig if you had an off-road vehicle that could lock up its specific brakes. So it's something that Ford paid attention to. Other off-roaders have done this for a long time, and they brought it here with just technology. But yeah, man, I love that trail turn assist. Great feature. Well, folks, we have arrived at the end of this video. Now, I can confidently say that the Bronco is one of the best off-roaders on sale today, straight from the dealership. And then once you outfit it with Everglades, you're just getting so many features that feel like they're aftermarket, but again, you're getting that warranty and the peace of mind of knowing that this is straight from Ford. Now, sadly, sales of this vehicle, yeah, they've taken a real hit in 2024, so it'll be interesting to see how this thing finishes up the entire year, and then interesting to see if Ford also kind of follows in Jeep's footsteps and starts slashing prices, so finally we can get back to a world of affordable off-roaders. But for now, price aside, I gotta tell you that I really do like this Bronco Everglades. Well, that's it for this one. Why don't you guys drop in the comments right now. Let me know what you think of everything you've seen in this video. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.